long this language has been spoken in this area, it's a grey area and requires research. For example, when Darius I came to India, he came to Punjab, but was there a language called Punjabi at that time? Several hundred years later, Alexander came to this region. What was the language spoken here? Is there a documentation of that language in Greek records? Looks like a lot of research is needed to see what is the history of Punjabi. In any case, it's clear that in the centuries after Farid, the whole idea of writing in Punjabi became prevalent, particularly among the Sufi Muslim poets, not so much among others. And several hundred years later, it was Guru Nanak who again made a choice to write in Punjabi, and then the whole of all of Sikh Gurus wrote in Punjabi, and a new script for Punjabi was developed, which we call Gurmukhi. But although Gurmukhi was developed, Punjabi predominantly by large number of people was always written in Persian script, and that is what continues to be done even today. Gurmukhi was adopted only certain people in Punjabi speaking people, and not by all, and definitely not by majority. So, but you see, Punjabi has never been the language of any power structures. So Punjabi has been language of people and not language of the state. I mean, you might be surprised that Maharaja Ranjit Singh's court language was Persian. And although there is a lot of discussion going on that Maharaja Ranjit Singh taught Punjabi and this Qaeda and Gurmukhi, and in villages he did various things, he might have done all that. But this whole idea of developing Punjabi into a language further was not, no such projects were funded or initiated in the court of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He continued to use Persian as a court language and as language of all official work in his time. So even later you see that Urdu becomes the language. British also do not introduce Punjabi in a big way in Punjab. But the Punjabi literature, on the other hand, developed very well in all these periods, even before Ranjit Singh. And then you have people, landmark poets like Waris Shah, and a whole set of literature comes in that era. So Punjabi keeps on developing as an expression of in literature, and then a notion of Punjabiyat, as we call it, or as a cultural identity. So as you see, no state has a language as Punjabi. Later on, after British left, and on the Indian side of Punjab, as you know that Punjab was made into the current Punjab in the 1960s, and then of course Punjabi became the official language of this part of Punjab. But if you really see, I mean, there are about 3 crore Punjabi speaking people in India, and total Punjabi speaking population in the world is about 10 to 12 crores are there, 11 crores are there in Pakistan, and there are diaspora communities. So majority of Punjabis still live in a way that their language is not the language of the state, and it is not even taught in schools in the Pakistan part of Punjab. The West Punjab, Punjabi is not taught in schools. So this is how is the problem with the Punjabi language, that it has not received state or official patronage in most of its history of development. And that's why even in 20th century, when Bhai Veer Singh is writing in Punjabi, from his family there are people telling him that it's not a good idea to write in Punjabi, you should use Braj or some other better language to express yourself. So he again makes a choice to write in Punjabi and not write in other languages, and that's how you move into a more modern time in the Punjabi word or Punjabi literature. So what I see is that the notion of Punjabi and Punjabiyat has not really been commensurate with the political boundaries, geographical political boundaries, and in the modern times specifically with the notions of nation state. So nation state concept that we borrowed from the West is very different from the earlier way of organizing society. I mean, it did not really matter that Ranjit Singh ruled on one side of Satluj and British ruled on the other side. For cultural exchange and for poets to go or people to travel, this was never an issue. In this region particularly, you could travel all the way to Baghdad, to Tehran, or to Kashi or to Tiruvananthapuram or to Bengal, and these political boundaries of having different rulers normally did not come in the way. So I see that the society was organized along different dimensions, and dimensions were quite different. I mean, you had nomadic people, for example, which could go almost anywhere in the world without a visa or a passport and so on. Now, how can nomadic people now travel with their culture and language across countries and so on? So that is no longer possible. And the notion of nation state, which we borrowed from modern Europe, we took it very seriously, and we have imposed all those boundaries between states in a way that you can't even travel to Pakistan, let alone going to Tehran or going to Baghdad and so on. So Punjab now, of course, is divided very strongly with an international border, and with very little exchange possible across that border. I mean, at my university, we organized an international conference on the 300 years of Waris Shah, and 12 scholars from Pakistan were invited, but they were denied visa and they could not even participate in a conference. So that is the current situation, the interaction between Punjabi, Punjabiyat and nation state. But point I want to make is that with this present situation, which is not very different from what happened in the past, how should Punjab or Punjabiyat move forward? So I think the way forward is to learn from the past, which means that organizing oneself around Punjabi and Punjabi language, literature and culture is the way, and certain other axes which are religion or nation state, they are the ones which have not been important for Punjab and Punjabi culture, so they should be underplayed. Then maybe one can add a new dimension that instead of looking for geographical contiguity, we could think about including diaspora communities, communities which are Punjabi speaking, which could be anywhere in the world, and on this axis they are not very far. As you measure distance on the cultural or linguistic axis, they are close by. So there could be a much more loose notion in which people bind themselves around the concept of Punjab and Punjabiyat, and that I think is the way forward for the Punjab or the Punjabi community to move forward. Punjabi University, where I come from, where I am currently the Vice Chancellor, has a very pivotal role in this, because university is after the language, it's a Punjabi university, and you see the development of Punjabi language to bring it to a certain level that it can, that any kind of transaction, any kind of conversation, any kind of profession can be done in Punjabi is one of the things that we do. But the question is, whom do it do for? And that requires introspection and I think a reworking out. Many times we feel that we are supposed to do it for this state called Punjab within India. If that is how an academic institution begins to look at itself, or for that matter, if that is how Punjabis begin to look at themselves, then I think the future is not very bright. On the other hand, if one is going to break these boundaries and bring this kind of a harmony and a unity and a way forward along the axes I was talking about, then I think the Punjabi community in Punjabiyat has a very bright future. Because you see, when you talk about Punjabi language, many times people say that Punjabi is the language of Sikhs. But you know, in the Punjabi speaking community, only 13% are Sikhs. 87% of Punjabi speaking people are not Sikhs. So it would be a myth to say that Punjabi is language of Sikhs. Punjabi is language of Punjabis, and they are predominantly non-Sikhs. And if you really want to know, I mean, I don't really think that religion axis is very important. Punjabi has been, most Punjabi speaking people are actually Muslims, and most Punjabi speaking people live in Pakistan today. And that's a fact, and that's perfectly all right. If you want to fraternize on the linguistic axis, they are not very far away from you in any way. So then the point is how to go forward. Of course, as I mentioned, one is the script issue. A large number of books in Pakistan, Punjab are published, which are published in Farsi script. We don't have access to those. So we need quick lipyantar or the script changes, which could be automatic in today's times. Similarly, the new technologies. So as we say that some technologies are enabling and some technologies are disabling. The of course weapons industry and so on are disabling technologies. They you feel that they are enabling you, but at the end of the day they disable you. But lots of information technologies of today's time are very enabling technologies, because exchange through media is something that you can do very well today. It does not require geographical contiguity, and it doesn't even require political approvals. I mean, you could be talking on a server or an online talk where people from all over the world have registered, and you can't really say that you need a visa to register into a talk or attend that talk. So I think we need to recognize these enabling positive technologies, integrate them into the notion of cultural and linguistic axis, that one is thinking about future of Punjabi community, Punjab and Punjabiyat, and then work out a common future for this community. As I have been saying in the context of universities, that governments come and go, nation states come and go, but academic institutions and universities remain. I mean, Bologna University was set up in 12th century, it is still functional. There are many universities in the world who are 500 years old, 400 years old. Our own older universities before they died lived for hundreds of years, or maybe even more than 1,000 years before they died. So the lifespan of languages, cultural entities, universities and seats of such structures is much longer than the political structures and other structures which seem to look very important. So I think that we should remove that layer and look at the real layer around which people should kind of come together. I think that was my basic thesis which I wanted to present to you, and in the discussion, if there are any questions, I could take up after everyone else has spoken. What I would say is that many of the things which I worked out for myself, being a Punjabi, trying to see what is Punjab, Punjabiyat, might be also useful axes to look at other communities, because many other communities also might be in a similar situation where political boundaries, nation states and history has not been in their favor, but still there is a certain resilience in these entities which leads to their long-term survival, and we must recognize those motives which have led to that resilience over long periods of time and build upon those. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. This has been wonderful. This axis of Punjabi as the marker of our identity, rather than religion as the marker of identity, can play a very significant role. I'm glad Prof. Arvind has dilated upon it extensively, and I'm sure most of you must have thoroughly enjoyed. Now let me, because we have less time, let me invite Professor Jagrup Singh Sekho. Jagrup Singh Sekho has been Professor and Head of the Department of Political Science in Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Has been a very dedicated researcher, and a very significant role he played with me was the investigation into the ground reality of terrorism in Punjab. He played a major role in that, taking us to all the places, and he has been working on the border villages, and he has been more close to the ground reality, the way people in villages of Punjab communicate and what are their fears and apprehensions, So he is the right person for today's talk on Punjab. His topic is changing demographic profile. He talks of Punjab partition and its impact on post-partition Punjab and also on contemporary issues. Uh, the shadow of partition and whatever happened in its wake has been with us, and that has made a great impact. I invite Professor Jagrup Singh Sehgal to please come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, organizers, for giving me this opportunity to interact with the great audience on the issues which we are confronting today. I think all we love Punjab are very much concerned about. We are at the crossroad, and we are witnessing that how a vibrant Punjab has been reduced to of hopelessness and helplessness. If we see from the perspectives of the common masses, it's fact that whatever little knowledge I have, we have not seen that Punjab remained a very peaceful or a very vibrant for a very long period. It had faced many upheavals, but it rose up, then faced the challenges. But what we are witnessing today is that we have never seen this level of helplessness even in very challenging times earlier. So how it happened, we all know. The real situation is that if we, sir has talked about that since I come from that area, where nobody wants to live in Punjab. This is fact. We may agree to this point or not. Everybody wants to live in spite of the fact all sources are at our disposal. How it became possible, how it was made by the circumstances, by the situations, or by the conditions, or by the developments which we are witnessing, particularly more specifically the post-partition era. To be very brief, I will read my paper. It's basically divided into three parts. The first one is the changing demographic structure of the Punjab. The second one is that the post-partition Punjab, how Punjab rose up out of ashes, moved further, had green revolution, became #1 state in India, and how it faced a very serious problem of a violence or the terrorism in the late 70s or in the 80s. And after that, the rule of the political class, the ruling party, which brought us to, this is what we call as a crossroad at the present point. The present Punjab has witnessed many upheavals since the region was conquered by the British in 1849, 10 years after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. The province was created in 1857. After that, it witnessed many socio-economic movements, both in the form of what is called the movement which were communal in the nature and the movement which were progressive in that period. So which ultimately resulted into basically becoming a space for having all types of the movements in the state over there. We have seen that rise of communal consciousness or religious organization in the form of the Singh Sabha, then the Arya Samaj, later on the Muslim League, but the parallel organizations were of the peasants uprisings. We have the Ghadar movement, we have that Babbar Kali movements, Kuka movements before that, and after that the movements of the peasants and the farmers also. The post-party in Punjab, we have seen that the pre-partition Punjab, it was the a Muslim majority area,